Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Well, that's bright. Dial that back a little bit. Um, okay, I figured for tonight I would go back to my combo box that didn't quite get to finish last time due to finding all kinds of fun problems and things to fight with. So I figured we would start there, but a couple things real quick by way of updates. I know I've plugged it before, but I'm going to plug it again. There are two upcoming .NET user group talks for the Spokane.NET user group, which is the one that I typically will attend. Me and my boss are speaking on C# nullable reference types coming up next Tuesday. So if you're watching this recorded on YouTube, the YouTube recording goes live on Monday, which means it's starting tomorrow. If you're watching this 48 hours after it posted, there will be a recording. But if you are interested, that one's coming up. And then I have one in October, the 12th, going through fun features of C# and horrendous ways to abuse them. So my plan is to go through, I've written some absolutely horrible code that no one should ever write. Basically trying to figure out how I could take different C# features and do things with them that they were never intended to do. And so it'll be a lot more light, a little bit more fun, but hopefully a good example of learning different features of C# and sort of how those things work by looking at arguably, hopefully somewhat hilariously bad examples. So there's that one there. Next up, Hacktoberfest is coming. 20 days, 5 hours, 57 minutes, and 15 seconds. So, for those people unfamiliar with Hacktoberfest, it is an event put on every year by a company called DigitalOcean. The aim is to get people active and involved working with open source projects. That doesn't necessarily even mean you have to write code either. If you prefer to help people out, a lot of projects need help getting documentation done and that kind of thing. So if that is something you would be interested in doing and helping out with, you do end up getting a shirt if you get at least 5 of your pull requests accepted. Worth noting, your pull requests need to be of actually providing value. There are plenty of ways for maintainers to either flag things as spam or not count. So the goal is to not submit 5 itty bitty little PRs and just to try to earn a shirt. They actually need to do something of consequence. But most maintainers, even for, or I should say, especially for Hacktoberfest, will go through and flag a bunch of good first issues, typically things that are small, really well defined, simple things for people to pick up, even without a lot of familiarity with the repository. So if you are interested, that is definitely something I recommend, especially if you are looking for a way to learn more about source control, Git, GitHub, that kind of thing. I would encourage you to look for projects that you're interested in. Obviously, there's thousands of repositories that will participate in this, and the material design project I'll show in a little bit is definitely one of them. But beyond that, find something that actually interests you. Sure, you can poke around and find plenty of other ones, but it's actually usually better to get involved in something that you want to see maintained and move forward. So I will say that for October as well. I plan on doing a lot of my streams revolving around Git, GitHub, Gitkraken, all of kind of those related tools and technologies. So expect to see a lot of that come October. Okay. So that said, oh, I don't need that anymore. Okay, so we've got the ComboBox one. And this is the branch that we left off on last time. And for those who don't recall, we have a combo box, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. And by kind of a pain in the neck, I mean a big pain in the neck. So the material design look and feel for what they call a dropdown, in WPF called a combo box, is we get this pop-up control, and I'll show you. And I don't know exactly what state this is going to be in, so we're going to see. Close enough. Let's see. So I would like to grab Zoom It. I need you on, and I need Karnak turned on. Sorry, I was working right up until the start of this stream and did not have an opportunity to get all my tools set up. And pacha, there we go. So on the combo box, when you click on it, what ends up happening is it pops up this kind of hover pop over the top. Ooh. Ouroboros, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Oh, and thank you very much. Subscription with Prime. The combo box, when the drop down is shown, goes over the top here with the list of items. But when you have a combo box that's editable, which I think one of these guys here is, yeah, this text box here is actually underneath. It is, even though it looks like it's being lifted into the pop-up, it's not. What's actually happening is we're cutting a hole out of the pop-up to look all the way through at the text box that's underneath. Not helpful. And there's all kinds of issues where this quickly starts to fall apart, where the hole that we cut out in the pop-up is not perfectly aligned over the top of the text box. Even when we do all of the math perfectly, you still have to end up doing a little bit of battle with the idea of subpixel rendering. There's a lot of bugs that have come up in the repository where if the background colors are different and the subpixel rendering isn't laid out just right, you start to see these little lines around the edge. Not a big deal, but it's really obnoxious. So, the solution, or at least the latest bit of crazy that I'm going to run down, is to actually take that text box out of the visual tree of the combo box, slap it in the pop-up whenever the pop-up is opened, and then put it back when the pop-up closes. That's what we're going to try. Because so far, all the other ideas have failed, and that one sort of worked. Didn't look great, but it kind of worked. So we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. That is going to be the goal here. And wow, there are a lot of binding errors here. Hoy vey. Hoy vey, hoy vey, hoy vey. Speaking of Hacktoberfest, on that note, I do plan on going through the material design project, and there's a bunch of small issues like that with like binding failures and whatnot that I try to break apart into individual small issues. And so if people are looking for useful PRs to contribute that are small and easy and well-defined, keep an eye on the material design and XAML project. There will be stuff there. Let me grab a link to the repo, just in the event people are unfamiliar. I think I aliased it. Did I alias it? I think I did. Did I? Oh, I did. Yes. Boom. There's the link to the repo. So this guy here. So keep an eye on it. If you are looking for things, the way that repositories effectively opt into Hacktoberfest is by slapping these topics out on the repository. So you can see this one here. I need to double check and see if it's just going to be basic Hacktoberfest or if they want a year tacked onto it again. We'll see. There's been a lot of issues around just trying to make sure that things are easy for the maintainers. HashiCorp is, or I should say, a lot of maintainers have been inundated with a lot of spam PRs, and that's not good. We're not trying to annoy the maintainers. We're trying to make it nicer for them. The goal is to help, not to hinder. Okay, so let's run down that combo box. Okay, so if we look at last time, this combo box here was what we were going for. So inside of combo box template, that's what we were building up. So let's start there. Combo box pop up. Boom. Grab that. We'll grab the combo box XAML file, which I think I just passed it. Nope. There's the assist, hint proxy. Okay. I've just given up on that, and I'm going down here. This is a lot quicker. Okay, and let me get this a little bigger. And as much as I like the XAML live preview, go away, go away. For anybody who hasn't seen it as well, so I'm running Visual Studio 2022 latest preview, which I think is 3.1. Even if you're still on Visual Studio 2019, something you should do. Tools, options, and then you come down here to preview features. I love these things, especially if you're a little tolerant of things maybe not always being perfect. This is great stuff. We're going to turn that guy on. As you can see, my default setting is come in here and turn on all the things. I don't know if I need this one. I don't have any repos I currently actively work on that span multiple repositories. Cool idea. I don't. That would be for something that uses like Git submodules. Would probably be a common use case for that, I would imagine. But I love turning on all these features. Key ones to turn on though. IntelliCode, absolutely amazing. Definitely turn it on. Out of process load and evaluation of projects, definitely turn on. The speed at which it loads is so much nicer. The other key one, specifically for WPF, is this XAML preview features and MVVM productivity. Definitely love it. Updated icons, just because I think they look pretty. And the new dark theme, because it's a new dark theme, and you have to turn on new dark themes. Okay. ComboBox fun. Okay, so we are focused specifically on one situation with this. Dark theme is life. Yes, yes it is. Or at least it's life for my eyes, so it's not making them suffer a little bit more. So the ComboBox template has different templates based upon the direction of the pop-up. We're not going to deal with those. We're going to get this working for just down, the normal use case. And if it's not apparent, I have way too much Mountain Dew with me tonight. So it's only a 2 liters worth of Mountain Dew. I really want to fix this. Okay, so ComboBox pop-up. This guy is here, and we are passing through a couple things. So specifically, we added a couple properties to this pop-up. So the ComboBox pop-up is our own custom control, just to be clear. It derives from the default pop-up. But we are passing through references for the editable text box as well as the original ComboBox. And I'm trying to remember exactly what the intent was here when we did so. I believe the idea was down where we override on opened or is opened, this guy here. Yeah, so this is where we're going. So when we're opened, we go hunting. Why are we hunting this? CC. What is CC used for? Oh, this is just finding the place where to go through and put it. Got it. Okay. So on the template of this guy, where's your template? Am I blind or stupid? Placement target. It was right up here above it, wasn't it? Pop up. Content control. Yes. This guy here. Yeah, this should have been going all the way through. So text box holder. So this guy is hunting for this guy. Right, so here's the down template for it. There's a content control. Now obviously we're dropping this whole mess because that's not what we're going to do. So when the pop-up is opened, we go hunting in the control template inside of our pop-up for this text box holder, which we probably need to do some sort of like named part or similar, so this is not magic constant string. But as long as we find it, and we've been given an editable text box, and the parent of that text box is a grid, which we probably can get a little fancier. I imagine this is UI element. Yeah, we could make this a panel. We don't need to be specific. Panel. That can go like that. That can go like that. We remove it from the parent. We cache our parent because we have to be able to put it back when we're done. And then we set our content here. This guy here does the reverse. Once again, hunts this guy out. If parent is set and we have a text box, we go ahead and put it back. Simple, straightforward. For people who haven't seen this syntax before, this is using the new C# pattern matching. Double curly brace is a property-based pattern match, And if you don't specify any properties like what we've done here, it will match any non-null value. So is curly brace is just a null check, but the advantage here is it's a null check into a local variable. Local variables are thread safe and can be inlined in nice expressions and whatnot. So it's a Boolean check and an assignment combined into one, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that is good. That is working. Let's see if we can get this guy a little more robust. So one of the issues that came up last time is when we lift that text box, there's actually more than that text box that matters. So specifically inside of this border, and maybe we end up just needing to lift more than the text box itself. I'm not 100% certain. So part of what I think needs to be lifted up is you've got the text box here, but sitting also inside the same column as this thing is something like the smart hint control. So when we saw that kind of lightened text over the top, that's this guy here. Suffix text block is the same thing. I kind of want to do one more thing where I get a little fancier and do text box foreground gets new. I just want to make sure that what we're seeing is legitimate. Oh, hang on, is legitimately. Fuchsia is the to-do of the color world, so we will use fuchsia. Okay, and then we will just null this guy back out and let it inherit. Okay, I just want to make sure that what we are seeing is in fact the real one, and that I'm not getting bit by something weird or fancy. Come on, compile. You can do it. Go, 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 go. Okay. That is one feature I do intend to put in for Hacktoberfest. If somebody wants to write me a little feature where you can pass a command line argument to have this app start at a particular screen, that would be really helpful. So that's not quite right. And more importantly, it's interesting that I am getting... How am I getting this hint? We didn't lift the hint, we only lifted the text box. Let's change the background rather than the foreground. I'm wondering if the... Did we leave a hole? Somewhat tempted to change the background of the grid on the pop-up too, just to... Let's see, combo boxes. Yeah, something is not lining up the way one would expect. I'm thinking the pull out and put back is probably what's making that hint disappear. Like this thing is getting I think what I want to do is, rather than making that thing behave weird, I want to explicitly set the Z order on this guy. Z index gets 0, I think. Trying to look at who else might be in this guy that should have higher. See, this is fine. Though maybe the solution... Okay, hold on. Let's think this through. Because these two, we only ever use either the content presenter or the text box at any given time. I'm wondering if we should just move this grid. Because that picks up the text block for the prefix, the editable text box, the smart hint, the suffix. I'm thinking we grab the grid. And I'm thinking this becomes like a UI element. And this becomes a UI element. UI element. We're going to leave it named funny for the moment. Circle back. This is mostly just to see if we can get it to work correctly. Okay, so hang on. I keep losing my places. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to create a bookmark. So the button here, but it's also Control KK. And then we are going to go down here to wherever the other one is. So bookmarks are just lightweight markers inside of your inside of any of your text files that you can then jump between. So it's just leave a little spot here, make it easy. There's a ton of setters. There, that's what I'm looking for. ComboBox. And then we'll put this, I don't know, right on the ComboBox. So you can see the little icon on the side that shows up here. That ultimately is what's... And then we can go whoop, 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 whoop. So for example, we come back here and go, give me the inner root. KN. Nope, what was next bookmark? Control KN. I must have missed a key. And then this is going to be down here. We're going to do that. And I think that's fine. I think all we have to do is change this up. Because we're not going to worry about that being a text box. We're not going to worry about that. Yeah, that clearly needs to be renamed, but the rest of it should be fine. Obviously, we need to rename this thing, all these text box things, to be more like, I don't know, ComboBox, current item or something. So I type. It's like it's not lifted. So let's take a look at what's going on. Good pal Snoop, come here. So let's go. What is in here? So we are looking for wherever that guy lives. Scroll viewer, that's the list of items. No, I need to be higher up. Grid. Inner root, there it is. So hold on, why does inner root contain text box holder? It does have prefix and whatnot set on it. So it is lifted. I'm guessing I just got my wires crossed somewhere because it's lifting some of the stuff. And there's obviously a placement problem that needs to be addressed. We'll deal with that in a minute, just because you see this thing move. My goal is to make it move as little as possible. There still may be a slight shift at the end because of those pixel bits. and the subpixel rendering stuff, but no one's going to notice if it moves half a pixel. It's really hard to see. More importantly, that won't result in bugs being filed against the repo, which is really the end goal here. Okay, so let's take a look, because did we lift all of this stuff out? Let's go back here. Maybe we lifted too much. Oh, we did. We lifted all of it. Got it. That is problematic. Okay, so what we do have in our root, so that's the ComboBox template. This is what we're expecting to pick up. Let's go back, and here, oh no, that one inside of the ComboBox template. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This isn't what we want to edit. Oh, that's why. Hang on, we're looking at the wrong thing. This is what we want to edit. This guy here. Okay. Okay. Move bookmark. Okay. This one is the one that's actually the pop-up content. Okay. And what we want here is all of this stuff to go away. So this grid here is ultimately what we'd like to replace. Nope, wrong grid. This grid here. Right? Nope, I'm down once again too high. There. That grid is what I want to get rid of, because he is the one that is at column 1 and ultimately where I want to position things. So what I want is this content control out of here, and I want it there. Content about lifted content holder. We're gonna actually, that's not how you spell lifted. Lifted content holder. We're gonna actually start renaming things, because I'm quickly gonna get to the point where I can't keep my bad naming straight in my own head. So we're gonna name it correctly and see if that solves my problem, because that's probably gonna make a bit of a difference, I think. Naming's hard. There's that old computer science meme. There are only, what is it? There are only 2 things that are hard in computer science. Cache invalidation, naming things, and off by 1 errors. Or thereabouts. Okay, so that is now, okay, that's at least consistent behavior. That's better. It's wrong, and it's making me question some things, but it's at least consistent. Okay, so inside of our pop-up, there's our holder. He is not getting content. So let's start with the obvious thing. Make sure we're actually adding it. So boom. Okay, so that's the problem. We are not lifting that thing up. Let's grab it here. Open. And step out. So if we look at our locals, let's see, editable text box, return to grid. get parent returned a border. Oh, because the parent isn't a panel. Border is not a panel. Yeah. Is there an XKCD with that meme in it? I'm trying to think. I know I've seen it plastered all over the internet so many times with slightly different variations. If you find it, post the link. Or at least tell me the XKCD number. Okay, so the issue here is that a border is not, in fact, a panel. So we go border B, right? This guy does not have a children collection. What he has instead is a child. So we're going to take this out of our... We're going to take this out of this. And what we are going to do is we are going to switch on this. So other cool thing you can do in C# now is you can just arbitrarily switch on stuff. So if it is a panel, then we will do... I don't know. Do I want to grab parent? I think this is just going to become a UI element, and I don't want to think too hard. So if it is a panel, go ahead and move you up. And actually, I guess what we really want is we do want this, but we still want to switch on parent. Oh, but we're not giving this a type. Oh, this is grumble, 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 grumble. You know what? We're just going to do that for now. I think that's easier. And you are unhappy because this wants to be a dependency object. Great. Okay. Happier now? There. Thank you. So, if parent is in fact a panel, we will do p.children remove. And then comma, not semicolon. That one bites me all the time. And then... What is your problem here? Switch. Oh, I need case like that. Control cannot fall out of a switch from final case label. Yeah. All right. Happier now? There. Okay. The lambda-based one is when you do a switch expression, which is not a switch statement. And a switch expression is useful for returning stuff, but we don't really care to return stuff here. So, case UI element. Element. What was it? Here, let's start with border. I guess not, but I did find the origin. At least the origin believes what it is. Let's look. (2010). Leon, if you are in fact the original author, how does this thing only have 1,500 likes? I know it's not hip to like something from 2010, but you know what? I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it anyway. Okay, and then this guy here is going to be the child property, gets nulled out, and break. Okay, so what is this on? Decorator. Okay, so if it's a decorator, that will go there, that will go there, that will clean that up. Let's rename this real quick. Lifted content. See, we haven't renamed the property yet, but we're getting closer. We're getting closer. And then we are going to come down here. Lifted content. And if parent is in fact set, I don't know if we actually care to do this, because what we're ultimately going to do here is we are going to once again switch on parent. Actually, I'm just going to grab these two case statements because these are the two that we care about. Except for rather than children there, we're going to do an add instead. Don't need that. And then in this case here, child gets lifted content. Just put the guy back. What do you populate switch? Oh dear heavens, what do you think you're going to populate with? Oh yeah, no, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. Okay. This should hopefully work better, because now we should actually... I'm just going to put a breakpoint here. Hey, breakpoint. Pretty please. Thank you. Boom. And there we go. We actually got inside. So we are going to actually lift the content now. That'll make a difference. Let's try this again. There's that. That. So aside from not showing up here, so is it being put back appropriately? Let's check that first, because the answer seems to be no. Yeah, it's not getting put back. So let's grab this here, figure out why on close it's not going back. Boom. Just step over that and look at our locals. So get templated child, return null. Oh, because that is not the same call as that. Those are very different. Let's go like that. In reality, we should probably take this lookup here and slap it into its own method so that it's consistent. We're just testing for the moment. We're just testing. Again, prove out that this suggestion is actually going to work before I get too far down. And the easiest way to prove that is to copy and paste. Currently. Because if I can prove that this actually works for the behavior that we care about, we're going to go for it. And there, put it back. Excellent. There we go. So now there's that little jump. There's that flash too that I'm not a huge fan of. But more importantly, it is lifting everything up. I wish I could get this thing to span now. That is somewhat related to, because there's a couple bugs against this template right now, specifically that changed in the previous behavior, and it was around the alignment of this text bit. Because in reality, that text box should be filling this whole space. So, and what I'm noticing is, so it's called the I bar, what your cursor changes to when you're over text. You'll note as soon as I get beyond the text, it goes back to a regular cursor. Not what we're looking for. So that means that the text box itself that is being populated there is being horizontally aligned left, not stretching to fill its container space. That's a problem. I assume you still work just fine because you don't matter. Yeah. Okay, so I think this proves that it's going to work. and we can now start trying to solve some of these issues. So let's clean some code up first. Let's clean some code up. And then we'll start working through all of the combo boxes. So first of all, let's move the logic for getting this down. Private, what do I actually need? Why are we going content control? Do you need to be... it's doing that because it actually needs it. Okay. Let's go through and actually declare out a template part. So let's see, name, and by convention, these are always all capital part underscore lifted content. Is that what we named it? Lifted content holder. I think we can just call it lifted content here. Type needs to be a type of content control. Okay, so we're going to do that. Oh, but I can't, because this isn't the template for the pop-up. Where do you get applied? Because this is being applied to a content control inside of the pop-up, which is not quite the same. Down content template. I don't think you are used anywhere. Yeah, that's the problem. You know bueno. Where the heck? It's gonna be in here, isn't it? I mean, that's mildly convenient if it's just declared in here. Update child template. Set child template if needed. Comes in here. So the other key thing here is I'm trying to do this without making it a breaking change. Like, we could totally refactor the whole way that this layout of this pop-up works. It's not quite what we want to do. I think going back to the other approach of just doing this is probably best. So we're going to grab this much of it. So let's go with content control, get lifted content holder, and then we're going to name it like this anyway, even though that's not quite how it's going to get referenced. Let's see, boom. Just because this will very much indicate to anybody looking at this what the intent is here. Because when you see all caps part underscore, that indicates in WPF that this is a good enough. This is a required UI element for templating this. So if somebody wants to use this control, and I suspect most people are probably not doing this or not directly leveraging the pop-up directly, but they could be. I very consistently, when I make an assumption about how people are using the libraries and I do a release, I quickly find out all of the ways my assumptions are wrong. And I do not mind getting critiqued or feedback. That is excellent. I very much approve of that, but it does mean that I try to be very careful about not just breaking stuff. At least not needlessly. Okay, so that gets me to there. Let's rename this, because this should be something more like lifted content parent. Let's make that a little more obvious. And then this needs to be renamed as well. Lifted content. Sounds great. Put that in there. Put that in there. That sounds great. That sounds great. That goes like that. For people unfamiliar with the question mark that I'm putting here, that is the nullable reference types in C#. Once again, if people are interested to learn more about it, that's not what I'm looking for. Neither of those are what I'm after. Oh, I must have closed it. Hang on. Let's see, Spokane.net user group. Again, I'm just going to keep plugging this because these are going to be some great talks. Great talks. And I'm not just saying that because I'm speaking. A lot of useful practical information there. Okay. Okay, and then I believe, yeah, 0 references. So this guy is worthless. So we get rid of him. You are no longer needed. So we come over here and we go. Another comment I'll make too is even if you aren't able to make the Spokane.net user group, there is almost assuredly a user group somewhere nearby you, or at least something that you can watch online. The fact that you are watching this stream now sort of implies that you have access to watch videos online. And quite a few user groups actually put their stuff online. I would encourage you to get involved in a user group. Ideally one close to your location, but any user group will do. Or I should say any user group where you're learning things and the content is good. Or if you're so inclined, oftentimes user groups are always in search of speakers. I say often and always in the same sentence. User groups are usually short on speakers. That's the hard one. And the bar is not high. Typically the bar has something that they are willing to present that is on topic and willing to present. Usually that willing part is where things fall down. Okay, so that gets me a much better name. Let's fire this up and make sure we didn't break anything in that big refactor. And we might go through trying to decide, do we write some tests on this? We could break out my XAMLTest library and write some tests. Might be worthwhile for this. Because I'm also noticing that now that we got this cleaned up, you'll note that positioning is pretty close. Right? I'm trying to see if I can get, because if I get my cursor right on the bottom of that dollar, it's in the same spot. That's pretty good. That's pretty close. So if I can get rid of that flash, that would be the kicker. How could we get rid of the flash? I don't know if there's going to be a way to do it. So there's a couple ideas, and we could get really fancy here. Let's go here. I'm curious at what point I hit this breakpoint. Pun intended. Okay. Kind of want you on the side. Minimize you. Let's let execution go. Okay, move you to the side again, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. I'm going to collapse this. So, first breakpoint hits, the pop-up has not opened. Second breakpoint, the pop-up has not opened. Interesting. Because the pop-up is going to have the pop-up is going to have a bit of an animation on it. So in order to cut down on the flash, I'm tempted to throw a visual brush over the top of the thing and then swap it once the content's been moved, which would really cut down on the flash. Is it worth going down that much headache? It might be. Yeah, because even at this point, it's already gone. Because I imagine what's actually happening is the flash is this content disappearing, being moved to a pop-up that hasn't fully been brought in yet. And I'm wondering if it would be better to leave a snapshot in place of this guy. That might not be that bad of an idea. It also leaves a nice anchor. That might not be that bad of an idea. Let's give it a shot, because if we can grab a visual brush of this guy. Now I always have to look this up because I cannot remember WPF visual brush. I can never remember the magical incantation to do this correctly. Blah, blah, blah. Create a new visual. Use it in the blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. That's not overly helpful. But, let's see. When you define a visual... When the auto layout content, however, the root element is essentially isolated from the rest of the system. Style, storyboards, and external layout can't permeate this boundary. Therefore, you should explicitly specify the size of the root UI element, because its only parent is the visual brush and therefore cannot automatically size itself. But this is when you define a new visual. Yeah. Interesting effects such as reflection and magnification. Yeah, and this is the other thing, is we can freeze it. Oh, cannot be made frozen when its visual property is set to any value other than null. Well, we're about to set it to a non-null value. Okay, let's give this a try, because I'm interested to try this. Visual brush. Visual brush gets new. Does your constructor take in? Oh, it takes in a visual. Well, how about lifted content? That seems fine, right? And then what we want to do is we want to get the lightest weight thing possible. What is the easiest way to do this? So I need something, because now I've got a brush, and a brush isn't an element you can just directly insert into the visual tree. You need to paint something with the brush, right? So I've got a paintbrush covered in pretty visual element paint. And so you usually set like a background or something on it. Just wondering if there is a easy way to somewhat copy this. I think a canvas might be the... let's see. Background gets visual brush. C.width gets lifted content. Oh, actual width. Oh, what is lifted content? UI element. So I don't... Okay. Change that in a minute, but that'll give me the actual width. Because again, we're testing. Actual height that should tie that in pretty closely, which I suppose we can do. I don't know if you've noticed my cursor getting lost out in no man's land. It happened with the latest Visual Studio update, and I don't know if it's a bug or a feature that I haven't set appropriately or what the deal is. I can just say it's been really annoying me. Like this, see? I would have expected the cursor when I go down to jump me to the end of the line because I've got white space turned on. I can see where that is. And I just don't know what to do with that. Okay, so if we take that, and in here then we would do, before we remove it, p.children.insert, and then it would be p.children index of lifted content, and we're going to put C in its place. 2 out of behavior to not be a feature. I know, that's why part of why I looked at the preview features in Visual Studio earlier is it seems like something that somebody intended, and it only bothers me, or I should say, it bothers me most because I leave view white space enabled because I like to be able to see what it is. But it feels really wrong. And this just becomes C. Actually, let's just store it here for the moment. Private visual brush. Cache that sucker right there. Boom. This is a case where I would very much argue for not using target type new expressions, because this is not clear. This is, yeah. Target type new expressions are kind of like var. They are awesome when used appropriately and can make your code unreadable when used inappropriately. Okay, so we want to come in here. So let's see, we want to add first, and then we want to do children remove visual brush. Don't need to do anything here. Oh, no, not visual brush. Oh, I don't want visual brush, do I? I actually want canvas. Suck. Let's undo all those changes. I just did that, all of that work to cache it, and then I did it completely wrong. Yeah, I'll leave it named that for the moment. Let's see here. Okay, and then this means that I just want to do, after the add, p children remove visual brush. This extra panel case is actually even less concerning right now because I know we're falling into the decorator case because it's a border. Oh, and you're unhappy. There. Be happy. There you go. Okay, let's give this a shot. I'm curious what this looks like. Because I'm hoping the look we're going for is right before we take away the text box element. We take a picture of it, slap that picture in its place, then remove it. Then when it comes up, I'm hoping the only flash we really get, I'm hoping there's not really any flash, because the pop-up does kind of that fade-in effect, and it should be theoretically fading from the picture to the real element, which if they're lined up appropriately, should be almost invisible. And I'm I'm totally good with almost at this point. Let's do prefix. Well, it definitely slaps a thing on there, but it is definitely not what I wanted. And it is definitely scaling wrong. Is that still in the right place? No, it moved. Why did that move? The placement of that is... What's weird to me is... How can I get a picture of it? I want to look at it. Oh, I know what we can do. We can just... if I grab it here... let's see. There's the ComboBox. What I'm looking for is the grid that we lift out of this. There's the ComboBox. It's got to be inside of here. There's the inner root. The inner root is what should get swapped. So what I'd like to do is do that. And if I do not magnifier window, yeah, the magnifier window. And we drag this over here so we can see it. Let's do you like this. So the fun magnifier window in Snoop lets you, whatever element you're focused on, it effectively does the visual brush effect. And so you can see here, you can even split it into a 3D mode so you can get the layout of the land of, you know, what's the relationship between all my components. Which can be very, very helpful. Now you'll note in 3D mode, oftentimes you'll see things that aren't actually there. For example, clearly all we see is Apple. Then you can change the background. So in our case, if you are using white text, I'm just surprised that when I size this the same way, what, huh? I'm just confused why I'm getting... Yeah, it is a really... especially for WPF, Snoop is by far my go-to tool. The built-in stuff inside of Visual Studio is good. So their Property Explorer, the Live Visual Tree, and whatnot. And it has one feature that Snoop doesn't. Because Visual Studio knows about your code, you can actually navigate from the tree in Visual Studio back to your XAML when it can find it. So it does have that nice link of going from my running app to, hey, where's that source code file? Which is great. But Snoop has all these other features that one doesn't have. So especially when it comes to like debugging why something's wrong or why is my element not there or where did it go, Snoop is by far my go-to option. What I would love to do though, and I don't know how to grab it because the ComboBox is going to close this pop-up on me. I would love to try and figure out why the sizing on that grid. Because what I really want to do is look at that grid. Like I want to open this, hit refresh without that thing closing. Which is not exactly a trivial thing to do. I wonder, can we grab it? Where's the pop-up? Can I just do stays open? Stays open is already true. That is... See, the problem is I don't... Yeah, because internally what's happening is the ComboBox is watching for those clicks and then it's hiding them. And I want it to... to stop watching for those clicks. How can I get a hold of it? I can't pause the debugger because Snoop needs the actual UI thread to be running in order to produce useful results. So I can't just pause it. I mean, I suppose I could add some debug output. That would not be horrible. So, because we know what this should be. So if we look at, say, width, right? Because it looks like it's being spanned. We're looking for 79. And then, so here's the other thing you can do with Snoop. You can use a pipe to use this filter up here and filter down to say things that contain width or height. Super incredibly handy. You'll also note it is much better at finding your attached properties. Sometimes too good, and you get a whole bunch of garbage in your list, which is why you need the filter. Whereas the Visual Studio one tries to like group and be a little more intelligent, which is good, but again, I think I would prefer to see all the things and have to filter than have something try to guess what I want. And it's not really guess, it doesn't necessarily discover all of them. Or tries to hide the ones that are clearly irrelevant. I want to see the irrelevant ones. See, and that's the thing, is this border... This is... Okay, so let's just confirm this. So, this parent here, we get the border. We remove the child from it. Oh, is there a padding or a margin between these two? Is that the issue? That's something that wouldn't get picked up. This border has a padding, but we don't move that. We move the grid. This is what's getting replaced. Well, hold on. This is up above. Other bookmark. Yeah, so here's the ComboBox template. This guy contains... Okay, so let's start with the obvious. Let's verify that what we get here actually matches our 79 and 23.6, give or take a little bit. Excuse me. 79. And that right there is the difference. We are not getting the same size. Interesting. The border has it, but the content itself, the grid, has much shorter content. Hold up. Hold up. What is shorting that? Is that a problem? I mean, it could account for the difference, but does that mean that this guy contains a margin to make him shorter? There's no margin there. How about padding? That's not going to do it. So there is 4 on top and 4 on bottom on the padding. I'm just wondering if I'm running into a situation where on top and on bottom is different. Maybe I'm fighting a bad problem. So let's actually, okay, so here's a thought. Let's actually try this. So rather than doing this stuff, let's drop in C. Go the other direction. So we're gonna, actually let's do this. We're gonna comment out all of this. So rather than moving the the grid, let's do content gets C. So we'll leave the thing there. And just not put it back. That sounds good. Because now this will give us an easier way to view it. And more importantly, if this ends up looking fine, this will prove whether this option works. Right? Because this will effectively do the cloning, just won't be interactable, which is fine. That's not what we need to test at the moment. The question is, can we get away with fixing this? Okay, so that's nicer in that it gives me, yeah, you'll note it doesn't show me the I bar at all, but you'll note the visual brush is actually intelligent. Like, it's updating as the cursor's flashing. So, pretty cool brush. But it also now means this is going to be a little bit easier now for us to hijack this guy and take a look at him. So he is, in fact, 15.6 and 79, which I believe is the exact size we wanted him to be. 15.6 and 79. So he is the exact same size. So why is he stretching? Oh, hang on. I'm an idiot. There's a property on here that is something like, what is it? Stretch. Almost like there was a stretch property on it. None. Okay, let's see if that looks a little better. I'm pretty sure it defaults to uniform. We could go look. Let's make sure this works. Hey, look at that. That is better. Still not aligning correctly, but we're no longer stretching. Which is better. Yeah, we're now just being aligned center instead of left. Okay, so that align. So the stretch was clearly problem 1. So let's see here. So that is there. What is the best way to handle this? Because is it the background that's a problem? Tile mode, it shouldn't be tiling at all. Yeah, so the tile mode, especially these flipped ones, are very helpful for that, like that mirroring effect. Let's see here. Alignment. Boy, that looks remarkably like it might be problematic. That it's defaulting to center. Stretch is defaulting to fill. So let's set the alignment. I think left and top. Because the sizes are going to match, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I want. I'm just trying to decide if that's going to be problematic at all. See, the fact that I was able to tab into that and the IntelliCode just guessed what was correct is pretty cool. Just gotta throw that out there. Oftentimes, though, the IntelliCode is not guaranteed that its guesses will even compile, so just be aware of that. Sometimes it tries to be helpful, and it ends up causing more problems than it's worth. Okay, so that's better. It's definitely still bouncing up a little. Let's take off the top. I do wonder if... This is where I'm wondering if there might end up being a little bit of a position, but the flash is gone. Which means the visual brush is a viable solution for that. What is going on? Okay. Sorry, I was hearing a noise, but I think it's actually coming from the background music. Still jumping a little bit, which isn't exactly surprising. And there might just be a little bit of alignment here. Okay, so I think the visual brush has proven its worth. Now, let's go re-invert these and put them back so that we get the behavior we want. Put you back. Put you back. And this should just work. Probably get us a lot better. And I'm wondering if by doing this back in the other order, our alignment problems are going to go away. Might have to check and see what the behavior is, but I think that's consistent. Yeah, so aside from the hopping maneuver it's doing, aside from that hopping maneuver, and I think that's what I'm probably going to trade the bugs out for, is a slight hop will be the new I see a line behavior. I think I like it. Okay, the suffix text is not being aligned appropriately. Okay, so there are bugs all over this ComboBox template, but we're gonna try to fix them. Okay, so step one: commit what we've got. Commit what we've got because it is in a working state and we are happy with it, or I am happy with it. So let's do this. Let's see. Lifting content is now working. Stage all changes, commit, push. Okay. Okay, so given that, that's now in and going. It's just that hop, I think, that's left. So perhaps do we try to write a test on this? I think we do. Let's write some tests. Let's write some tests because we can actually write tests over this now, which is awesome. Not there. UI tests. Okay, so ComboBox test. We're gonna go here. So I wrote this lovely library called XAMLTest. It is awesome. I love it, but I'm biased. What do I know? Let's see, GitHub XAMLTest, and its purpose in life, for anybody interested in, is to provide a nice, easy way of doing UI tests for this kind of stuff. So, for example, we are working on a ComboBox template, and we want to make sure that the text box inside of it is aligned correctly. There's not an easy way to do that. You either write a regular unit test, which trying to do UI related stuff without the full WPF stack is miserable, or you do a UI test, which goes through the accessibility layer to try to simulate user interaction, and it doesn't give you the fine-grained control that you need over the elements of a template. This fills that middle gap. That is its purpose in life. So what it does is it spins up a whole WPF window. So you've got the full power of WPF at your fingertips, but then allows you to dive into the visual tree and muck with stuff, just like Snoop, which is awesome. So you can do stuff like this, which is great. So we are going to do that. So we're going to start with this. I kind of feel like I want to go grab the issue number real quick. DAX. So let's see. And really, I know this is the last. I know it's the one that's the milestone is not working. So we're gonna powwow there. So how about issue? Boom. Okay. So the test recorder is just there for taking screenshots and whatnot. So if things fail, makes it a little bit easier. On edible ComboBox open, text box maintains its position. Okay, so let's start with, maybe we just pick on the same, let's just go grab that bit of XAML from the demo app, I think. That way we can pick on something real-ish. So not the OS one, this guy. So this is our bit of, boom. So we're gonna just, boom, drop that in there. And oh, we're inside of a string literal, so we gotta clean some of this up. Let's see, just clean that up. We don't actually care about hint opacity, so that's a non-issue. I'm gonna do this. Let's see, I'm gonna indent you, undo you, do you. Boom. Oh, did they add like multi-cursor support or something? Oh, really hoping there would be multi-cursor support like there is in VS Code. Doesn't. If there is, it's not using the same shortcuts as VS Code, so won't look for it yet. Okay, so that's going to give us that. Okay, so this will load XAML and give us back our root element from the XAML that it loads, which is a stack panel. Great. This is a custom method I put inside of this library. It loads up the app with all the material design library windows, which is perfect. That's what we want. Grabs all of this stuff, and so once we grab the combo box, we then want to let's put you all undo. There, perfect. Let's go back. I then want to grab the name of that lovely little guy. Let's see here. So themes, combo box. Actually, I should have just done this. Boom. Got it. So I want to grab this guy. And just grab him out. So by default, the get element method will hunt for things by name. So if you do nothing else to your query, it just hunts it by xname, which I found to be rather convenient. You can hunt by type or by property, and this thing accepts indexes and that kind of thing. So all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, so we don't want to get the font size out of it though. What we want to get is get coordinates. And how about we rename this text box. Closed coordinates. So this will return back, and we are not going to use a var here. Use explicit type. We want the rect, and I'm trying to remember this guy. Good, they are doubles. Okay, and then what we want to do is we would like to open the combo box. So we also should probably pull out the drop down button, I guess. I'm just trying to think of what's the best thing on this because it's editable. Where you click matters. So yeah, let's just do toggle button. That seems like a reasonable way to do it. I'm just wondering, should I grab it? Let's not hunt by name. Let's grab by type. I think is probably the most reasonable. Toggle button. Boom. Toggle button. And then we will await toggle button. Left click. Boom. And then we want to await task dot delay for 300 milliseconds. This is one of the only areas that I'm not overly happy with this is when you know there's animation. There's not a great way to say wait until it's done animating. You just kind of have to time it. Don't like that. Let's see. We could do an await and then await for. All right, so we'll do this. And we will wait for rect open coordinates gets await. Boom. Oh, this needs to be an async delegate. This thing does have an overload for func of task, so this will work. And then we will go assert. Do we go equal? I feel like I want to say are close enough. Let's do this. Let's just look at the top left corner. If the top left corner of the text box is within a pixel, we'll call that success. So let's do open coordinates top left. Minus close coordinates top left. Boom. So if you take 2 points and subtract them, it returns back the distance. So we will assert that distance dot length is less than or equal to 1. True. And this magical little wait will retry for a few times. By default, it'll try 3 times with a slight delay in it. I don't remember exactly what it's set to. But it gives you a little bit more, rather than just blindly doing the delay, it gives you a little more flexibility. I need a little bit of a delay because I don't want this first one to occur before the swap happens. I want to ensure that there's been enough time to at least hit that opened event handler and let it do its thing. Okay. Now, this test should fail because we haven't fixed it. This is good testing practice. You start with a failing test and then tweak it so that it passes. Okay, we failed. But we did not fail for the reason we expected. XAMLTest. Element of type text box does not match the desired type of text block. So we should make those match. Try again. The other thing that's nice about this is we can actually like pause the test and like play with the running WPF app and whatnot with Snoop. So you saw how it stayed open for a bit. Failed. Timeout of 3 attempts. 2 seconds. Exceeded. So it failed to find a reasonable match. So what I'd like to do now is put this to the side, and I just want to test this. So the wait for, worth noting, it'll either try for 2 seconds or it'll try up to 3 times. Oh, did I just click and mess it up? I think I clicked and messed it up. Oh, this is going to be fun. I actually want to catch it here, don't I? Let's stop this. Because if I don't, then we got to shut down XAMLTest. Just probably hung at this point. Slack is apparently busy. Oh, did it shut down on its own? Oh, good. Good. I wasn't sure which version of XAMLTest I had in. The library does have a, when there's no debugger attached, it does have a drop dead on it. So if it doesn't, or I should say it has a heartbeat. So if it's able to communicate for so long and the heartbeat doesn't fire, it goes dead. Which is perfect. Okay, so let's try this one more time. I'd like to see what that distance is and just verify that this is roughly what we expect. Right? Like that's what we're going for. Open. Distance. Length is 4. That's roughly what we're seeing is a bounce of 4. Perfect. I think what I would like to do though here is add one more, or I guess a couple more things. Horizontal alignment gets center. Let's just make sure that we get the same behavior here. Should be the same behavior. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Boom. It is interesting that that pop-up was so high up. Oh, this is a stack panel. So I should really not specify these on the combo box and instead put them up here on the stack panel. Okay, so run one more time. I just want to move the combo box into the middle of the window so that there's less weirdness with like the potential. Here, let's do this here. Just to make sure there's no weird collisions with like window border or that kind of thing. Sometimes when you're trying to click, if you get too close to the border, you can have things overlap. So I try to just inset everything. Okay, that seems fine. And you'll note by default it sets topmost on the window too, just for things like that where you click on Visual Studio, you don't necessarily want to take focus away from it. You want it to ride on top of everything, etc., etc. All those things can be configured, but okay, so we've got a failing test. Perfect. This is what we would like. Now we would like to fix the test. So let's go here and figure out the appropriate way to fix this. So we're off by 4 pixels. And if we look at this guy, I'm hang on. I think the issue might be pretty easy to solve, because this is going to be in the ComboBox pop-up, and this is going to be in the placement callback. Placement property, blah blah blah. Yeah, so there, so you get used where? That's not quite what I want. Property change callback. Create template property changed. No, this isn't quite. Cast is redundant. Am I missing something? Is it because of that? I don't think this cast is redundant. That's a double minus a double. Without the int is there for chopping it off. Huh. Okay. Get positioning data. This is where I think we might need to do some work. So let's see here. Visual ancestry of type visual, last or default, control visual. Okay, so let's work through this here. So this is what is actually getting used to position, right? So if we look here, custom placement callback. Yeah, perfect. So it grabs the visual ancestry, walking through it, gets positional data. Great. Tries to figure out if it should open up or down, setting the appropriate placement accordingly. And all of that jazz. Get up, pop-up placement, get down, pop-up placement from data. So these ones here, offset X, new down Y. So it's this positioning data that is likely to blame. And the whole reason for this is because the pop-up, by default in WPF, if you just give it a placement target, what it does is it aligns itself nicely to based on the properties on your pop-up. Typically what it will do is it'll align to the bottom of the placement target, which is great most of the time. In this case, we don't want the pop-up to align to the base of our combo box. We want to shift it up and make sure that the content that we lifted lands right on top of where it was. That's ultimately what we're looking for. I wonder if we could leverage that in these calculations. So this is grabbing the placement target, which if we look here, ComboBox, placement custom, do you have placement target specified? It does. So the template root is the target. Where is that element? So it's okay. So it's targeting this border. That's its placement target, is this border. Great. So that's what it's going to look for. It's going to grab this, the top left corner of that border and get its screen coordinates. Screen coordinates. That's important. Let's see, main visual. So it's going to go and go hunting for the last and the first visual element. Screen from point. Why the heck are we doing this? Oh, this is determining what screen that point is on. Okay, so multi-monitor, screen width, screen height. Okay, so this is to determine, are we too close to an edge? Because if you bring the combo box down to the bottom, you want to open up instead of down, that kind of thing. Adjust location to be in terms of current screen. So location X, location Y. So this should take the point that we calculated, given that we're now inside of screen bounds, because these bounds can very easily be negative. For example, in your monitor setup, if your primary monitor is, say, in the middle and you've got a screen left and right, the screen left is going to have negative coordinates because it is left of where you've set your 0. So just something to keep in mind, because I know we've been bitten by that bug on this library already. Okay, and then we also have to concern ourselves with DPI because we've gone to screen coordinates. Transform device Y. All right, I believe this method is the standard calculation, right? Yeah. Standard DPI. Perfect. Up vertical offset. Is this being set to something different? Up vertical offset is being set to 15. Kind of wondering if that's going to do it. Let's go back to our test. Stop executing. Debug test. I have a feeling that that's going to get us darn close. If you go off to the side for a minute. Length is a 4. Really? So it's jumping up still. Oh, did I change up or down? It could be part of the problem. I changed up. We would like to change down. Debug test. This is the beauty of having these tests, is that it makes it easy to tweak the templates, verify the condition that we're after without having to like start the demo app every time. Sometimes setting these tests up can be a little bit of a pain if the condition's not easy, but this one, the condition's pretty straightforward. Length is less than 1. Bippity booyah! Ha 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 ha! Let's see how it feels, because that did still show a fraction of a pixel off. Man, we might be able to get it closer, but I hate fighting over fractions of a pixel, especially going to screen coordinates where you aren't going to get fractional bits. It's got to be a little more challenging there. I think I might be okay with that. I think I might be okay with that. That is beautiful. Okay. Now we just have to fix all the other bugs. So we need the up template, the, let's see, up we need to fix. We need to fix up and classic. We should probably test it. Should probably clean this up because this is going to start getting long. This spins a new version of the app for every test. You can actually condense this down significantly. So one thing I will demonstrate real quick. Let's go. Let's see. XAMLTest. So if we look at the test that I wrote here, it's visual element tests. Oh, this is the actual test library. XAMLTest test, because naturally. Creating the app, when you call the start calls on here, so in this case start remote, this is spinning a new WPF window. So starting a process and building it up. Doing it on a class initialize means it'll do it once for this entire class. The thing that typically matters is you want to then clear the content. So there's helpers for like set XAML content. So it'll drop as long as you aren't setting things in like your app level resources that need to change and whatnot. If it's just the contents of the window, spin one window, change out the contents every time, and then your test runs much quicker because you don't have the overhead of spinning a process. So that is one thing that I've done on these tests here, which is great. I don't know a great equivalent here. Yeah. I know XUnit supports it, but not going to worry about it for the moment. Not going to worry about it for the moment. Okay, let's do the up template because that one should be broken too right now. Editable ComboBox open up. Text box maintains its position. So we're going to change this to open down. D-O-W-N. Okay, and then I would like to... How do I force you into the up versus down case? Is it here? Yeah, so I can do pop-up placement up is what I want for my test. So here what we're going to do is, oh, how do I, this is on the pop-up. What is on the, what gives me access to the, you don't give me direct access to that, do you? How can I force you to open up? How can I force you to open up? I could go and grab the, because I can get in and muck with this thing. That's totally a thing I can do because of XAMLTest. So that's, but I'm trying to decide at what point I would want to do that. That's not quite what I want. Do you actually get used? I'm just noticing I only see these. Do you get placed here at all? Oh, that's... This may be a fairly unused thing. I'm guessing this up value. Find all references. Oh, set current value. This is where it gets used. Prefer up if safe. So, in order to do this, I have to basically push the combo box down next to the bottom of the screen. Not the greatest option available. Do I have access to the screen stuff? I think it's internal. Yeah, I made it internal for a reason. Basically leached all the stuff out of WinForms for getting access to this to pull it in. Oh, excuse me. What is the... How do I test this? I mean, we can come over here and I can somewhat visually test it. Because if I bring this guy way down here to the bottom, just set him right there. Oh, but we haven't overridden that template yet. We overrode this template with this, but we did not, and this is the down. We need the up template to be overridden. Don't care about you. Oh, actually, I'm a little curious now. Well, we should be able to test this. If I do this now. That's not a good thing. Yeah, so that's not great. Okay, so that's... Huh. So that's not correct. I don't know how to force this in a test. Because I can push the window down, like up and down. You can get a hold of the WPF window and move it around. That's fine. But where to move it to is the question. And that would require knowing screen coordinates, which requires going through the screen class, which is internal, and I do not wish to make it public. And I would like to avoid internals visible too. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to do something a little bit crazy. A little bit crazy. So, add existing item. We're gonna back up a little, and we're gonna come at it from a different angle, let's say, and we're gonna add as link. Now, normally this is a bad idea. Now I got access to it. Done. Okay, so now we can do this. So vertical alignment bottom. Okay, so we are going to take the stack panel, send it to the bottom of our window, all the way down. We're going to get it right about to the bottom, back it up just a little bit, then open it. That's the game plan. Okay, so vertical alignment bottom, and we want to get ourselves a hold of the window. Create window width. So this is creating us a window, and we're throwing that window away. How can I hold on to that? What if I would like to hold on to that? Because this here is obviously a helper I built for the material design project. So I think what I want to do is separate out these two calls. Public static async task window create, let's see, create window si app like that guy there, and then we're just gonna grab this whole little bit. I'm gonna steal you, put you there. We're going to return you. And so this is going to be then window gets create window. Let's see, app XAML. No XAML, please. Thank you. And this needs to be weighted. And then we can pull that out. So that means I can now, in my test, change this up from load XAML, because load XAML is just a thinly veiled wrapper around this. Let's thinly veil it up a little more though. Load XAML window. Go with window. Create window. Return. What is it squawking about? I want it to hit my overload. Hey, navigate. Create window. Oh, no generic. Okay, so that'll spin me the window, and then it'll be up to me to just go get the element. That's fine. That's fine. That'll be okay. So we're going to change this to be, how about we go var window gets load window, and then we're going to feed it all of this. And then because of the awesomeness of how this works, we're just going to ignore the stack panel completely. This will become window. This is an await. And oh, this needs to be something like app dot. Load. Create window. Oh no, but I do want to land here. Load XAML window. Oh, but I don't want this to be generic. That's the problem. Because I still want it to initialize the app for me. So load XAML window. And this is an I window. Okay, so this gets me this gets me this gets me all the things. Okay, now push the window near the bottom of the screen. So let's see, window, get coordinates, let's see, rect, window, chords gets await. Okay, and then I want to do screen dot from point window chords top left that'll be fine. Okay, and so now we need to figure out how far to push this thing down. So this will give me the coordinates of my window, which will conveniently contain the height, right? Because I'm going to get all of the stuff. So if we know the combo box is at the bottom, I basically want to know, actually if we do this based upon bottom left, this might be easier. I guess in terms of getting the screen, it doesn't matter. But the amount that I want to push it down is going to be screen.height. No, screen.bounds.height. So that'll give me the height of my window. I want to find the distance between it and the bottom of my window. So subtract window coordinates bottom edge. Let's see, height above. Amount to move. And then we're going to go minus 50. Some margin. We may play with that a little bit. And then we're going to go window set top gets window chords. Let's see, top plus amount to move. And we're going to see if this works. I did just edit the right test. Oh, dang it. I edited the wrong test. Edited the wrong test. Copy and hold down the undo button. Okay. Paste. Okay. Now we try again. We want to grab it. I think we just grab it here. There's not a big point in grabbing it before that. Since I think we're just going to step over it all anyway. None of these things are actually acting on data. We aired out. What did we do? Material design is an undeclared prefix. So that tells me that my initialize did not initialize with material design. Create window. Create window with calls this create window. What does this create window call it with? That is not with content. So we need to land here. Actually, what we'll do is we'll leave this called create window, but we'll just flip it over here. Because we need to land on this overload, not the built-in one to the library. Okay, debug test again. Go test. And let's move you to the side just a little bit. So the window coordinates that we were given were, they look to be reasonable-ish. I don't know exactly how far over, so this is my second monitor, so it's just to the right of my primary. So being over 1800 looks roughly what I would expect. Okay, screen has a height, don't laugh at me. That's not, no, device name display 2. Oh, 1440 is its X distance over, right. And then it's 1920 by 1080, so the amount to move is 1080. And the window bottom is 956, so the amount to move would have been 74 down. So if I step over this, that gets the that gets us pretty much down by the bottom where we would hope. Coder, hey, just a quick sec. We have our own category now, software and game development. Oh. When you say our own category, Coder, I'm not sure I'm following without just coding. Are you referring to on Twitch? Oh, not science and technology. Oh, interesting. Software and game development. Boom. Done. Stream updated. Thank you. I did not know that was there. I appreciate it. That will probably help a little bit. Just making the tour on people who don't know. Hey, I appreciate the heads up because it is oftentimes difficult for me to keep track of things. So it's been a week. Yeah, well, I only stream once a week, and I'll be honest, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitch outside of that. So sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything. I still am a developer in my day job. But again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've got my default settings updated, so theoretically, it should now just pick it up. Okay. All that, and now I want to see this thing fail over or fall over miserably. Because that's probably what's about to happen. There we go. Bug reproduces. in a test. Boom. Now all we have to do is fix the bug. However, I have been going for 2 hours and did not get enough sleep last night. So I may call it for tonight. I am really wanting to get this thing fixed. But now that I've got a working down template, I think it's just a matter of getting the other ones polished up. And that shouldn't be a big deal. And I think having these tests in place will give me a lot of confidence to release a little quicker on this. The more of these tests I can get written to make sure that as we're making changes to templates, other things aren't falling apart, makes it a lot better. So I'm going to commit this. This is out on the repo if anybody wants to play with it. Adding more UI tests. Starting work for up template. So if anybody wants to take a crack at it, you are more than welcome to. I'm hoping to have it done soon-ish because this is legitimately the last item that I wanted to get in before the next release. I keep talking about wanting to release faster and then I release slow, and so that needs to end. And now that the pipelines are updated, and I've got this roughly where I want it, I'm thinking a little more automation, because I really hate the work that goes into making a release. So I'm going to try to automate myself out of a job there, which would be nice. I do enjoy automating quite a bit. If people are interested, I am probably going to show off a little system. Also, I think I conquered Helm. I assume this is Casey, and congratulations. One thing I probably will show off at some point here. I started powwowing with GitHub boards. And so I built a little auto tweeter using GitHub boards or GitKraken boards, which I thought was pretty cool. So it goes through, shows what the tweet's going to be, and all I have to do to send it out the door is drag it over to here. And these pending ones get auto-generated for me, and I can get rid of my foo and bar ones now. These were me testing. So there may be a blog post on it. There may be I may just have to do a stream and show it off because I was quite proud of it. So it's 3 logic apps that interact with the board and my YouTube automation that I've done to automatically do tweets. I was very, very happy with it. So I think it's cool. But with that, Casey, thank you for hanging out. Always fun. Coder, thank you for the information on the new category to go powwow in. Definitely appreciate it. And I think with that, okay, well, I got to do it one more time. Gotta plug it one more time. So, user groups, get involved. And if you don't know which one to get involved in, the Spokane one's great. And Hacktoberfest is coming. So, with that, have a good night. Happy coding. See everyone next week.